Welcome back, everyone. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete some of this here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we just have a header, one, and a paragraph. And for the most part, I want to do this just so that the code looks a little bit nicer. You always want to make your code look as nice as possible. That means, putting the code in different lines, etc. Okay, so the one thing that we can do with HTML is we can style any kind of text within it. All right, and we use this with a style point here. But before I actually show you how to do this, I want to just show you what to do here. So if I just, let's say, make a tag called Apple, and there isn't such a thing called an Apple tag, what we would do is we would type in style, and there's different kinds of apples, aren't there? And you can say color red, and then there's a semicolon, and you need to have that semicolon there, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. You can say type, Granny Smith, semicolon. You can say sweetness, out of 100, you can say 90, etc. So you can have all of these different kinds of properties to this apple here. Just like in HTML, this text can have a whole bunch of different properties. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this here. And I'll talk a bit about that semicolon in just a second, okay? So let's say we want the color to be different. So all we need to do is you need to type in style equals 2 quotes, and I like to type the quotes in first, okay? And what we do is you need to type in color colon, okay, red. Okay, and automatically you see it's red, then you need a semicolon here. Now, let's talk a little bit about this semicolon and the quotes. So there's two things that happen within programming languages with the semicolon and the quotes. Now, HTML is a newer language. And when I say newer, I mean that it wasn't invented. It wasn't the first programming language ever created. And a lot of the older programming languages, you need a semicolon to finish off the line. So you know how we have a paragraph tag that starts the line and a closing tag to finish off that line? Well, in most other programming languages, it's the semicolon. So the semicolon tells the computer, we are done with this line, let's move on to the next one. And you definitely need that. Now, the quotes, anything that happens within quotes is usually outside of the programming language. So if we were to go, and let's say we were making games, like an old game for like the first Nintendo or something like that. So if you wanted to make a game something similar to that, you would have your code, and let's say you had a name like any kind of name. For example, John. The character's name was John, and in order to put the word John onto the screen, you need quotes. And a lot of times, what happens in the quotes doesn't really affect the code. So in this case here, this style point here is some code, and this is in a different kind of code called CSS, and we'll be doing that in another tutorial. But we need that semicolon because if we want to add on another property, we do have to go ahead and change that. So watch this. So background color red is cool, but let's change it to orange just because I like orange a little bit better. But watch this. We can type in this background color, okay, and we can type in black. And you can see that the background color becomes black. Now watch this. If I go ahead and I type in a BR, which is a break, and you can see that the background color will just completely, it will go on as well, okay? So I'm just going to push Command Z to get rid of that. And so as you can see here, we have the color orange, background color black, and let's add in one more, okay? Let's add in font, okay? And you just have to make sure that there we go, font dash family, and then it's going to be colon, and we're going to type in courier, okay? And you can see that it changes, and of course there's a semicolon after that. If we get rid of the semicolon, you'll see that it doesn't exactly work the way we want it to. Okay, you see that none of these really work out. The courier stays the same, but this doesn't. Okay, so if I just go ahead and do that, there we go. You can see that the semicolon is needed for any of these style points. Now, if we go ahead and let's just copy this, okay? We're going to copy the style, and that's Command-C or Control-C, and then Command-V or Control-V, and of course you just need a space there. You see that the paragraph changes to the exact style it was. So you can, again, add these to most tags, right? It's at least tags that deal with text. If they deal with text in some way, you can go ahead and add this in there, okay? And you can change this up here. So you can type in maroon, all right, and then let's see, let's make it orange, okay? There we go. That kind of looks cool. Maroon is a very underused color, so I recommend using it whenever you can. It's kind of cool. So you can see that this here is a way to stylize, essentially stylize your texture. Now, these I showed you 3. There's way more than 3 things you can do with your text. So what I want you to do is I just want you to experiment, try different colors for the both background color and the color, and then you can go ahead and look up the font. One of my favorite fonts is if I type in Impact. Love that font. So Impact is great for titles, and in fact, if you look at the course image, the whole font that I'm using there is Impact, and I like it quite a bit. And you can see that all the properties, for example, the color and the background color stay the same, even though I just switched one of those out there. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.